Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to this third day of the DCC-CR talk program at Ecomondo. My name is Edwin Espina, and I am pleased to guide you through today's program. This morning, we will have the pleasure of starting with a keynote speech by Ana Carolina Mazzuco, who will share insights on the UNESCO-IOC OceanTeacher Global Academy. Following her presentation, we will have 10 minutes for any questions. Afterward, we'll be proceeding with the second keynote of the morning, delivered by Samantha Siedlecki on the state of the resilient coast from the Global Coast Experiment, followed by another 10-minute question and answer session. And then we will conclude this morning with a third keynote by Professor Elena Fabbri on UNIBO Educational Program in Environmental Sciences and Coastal Management. We will then end this morning with a Slido session to facilitate an open exchange of perspectives and reflections among all of us. Without any further ado, let me introduce our first keynote speaker, Ana Carolina Mazzuco, ocean scientist, passionate about life by the sea. She's currently working for the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO as training coordinator, leading the Ocean Teachers Global Academy and assisting with capacity development action. She's a bachelor in biology and coastal management, a master in marine biology, and has also a PhD in oceanography. She has dedicated many years to the front line of science, together with long-term marine observatories carrying out multidisciplinary studies to understand changes in the seascapes. So thank you very much, Ana Carolina. The floor is yours.
Thanks for the presentation. I'm gonna have my time, so, would you tell me when I... Okay, that's perfect then. Okay, let me see where I can stay. Maybe I can see better from here. Good? Okay. Okay. So first I'd like to thank the colleagues here and thank the invitation to share knowledge learned by OceanTeacher Global Academy. So I'm here representing all the ocean community. It's not just the program. I'm going to tell why about, and also some ideas, some challenges that we face nowadays when sharing knowledge. The aim of the training program per se is to empower the global community. So we don't share and don't do training just by planning courses. We really would like to that community is more capacitated of dealing with the challenges that are currently happening and also the challenges that we know are going to be coming in the future. So you cannot stop me for questions, as I know, but in the end we can talk about that. So talking about coastal communities, as you know, it's most of the global humanity lives very close to the sea or depends directly from the sea, and its habitats depend on capacity to become truly sustainable. We know the communities are not sustainable now. The ways that we develop, the ways that we deal with the ecosystems are not in the capacity that nature should be, and so we need to develop beyond that. And we know that for sustainable coasts, it will require well-informed, upskilled, and engaged communities. So if we don't share our knowledge, if we don't have education going on as a constant, all the technology is being developed, but this is not accessible to everyone. So we know that we are far away, actually, from 2030. We have 5 years, but a lot to develop in these communities. So UNESCO not just listens to the global community, but also unites efforts and resources to facilitate equitable capacity. So we identify centers and experts and expertises, and we also identify needs and gaps, and we put the community together in efforts and then facilitates the action. So this is the whole UNESCO doing that in different ocean areas. Of course, that IOC, so the Intergovernmental Organization, has a big role on facilitating, and we do have a strategy. So there is a strategy on sharing this knowledge, and training goes in all the outputs that we have. So what is the goal for 2030 is to have human resources developed not just at the individual level, but the institutional level. The training has to go beyond the person. Access to technology, physical infrastructure, data and information established needs to be improved. As we see here in this fair, there is a lot of solutions, but are those solutions accessible to the global community, for instance, to the global south or to the under-resourced countries? Do they have access to technology and physical infrastructure? Maybe not. So the training can be a facilitator. When you show and you train someone in a new tool, this open up for partnerships and also for developing and accessing these developments in humanity. And one of the third outputs that training also touches is in terms of mechanisms of facilitation. So we can work locally, but we can also work together in different countries, different member states and big regions to have training and to unite efforts on training. And also that our training is linked to policies, so to applications also, that they have an ultimate goal that change the regulation at different levels, national states and so on. So this is a video of OceanTeacher. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to play that, maybe. So before you play, Edwin, yeah? Okay, you can play then. Can you listen?
The health of our planet greatly relies on the natural balance of our shared ocean. To guarantee its well-functioning, it is vital to know and understand the impact of the ocean on us and how our decisions impact our ocean. The OceanTeacher Global Academy is driven to provide training in ocean science within the community. The OceanTeacher web-based platform offers online, classroom, or even a blend of classroom and distance training on multiple topics related to ocean sciences. The courses cover a wide range of topics, such as data management, natural disasters forecasting, prevention of marine pollution, implementing international marine law, among many others, related to IOC programs and its capacity development strategy. Numerous users from all over the globe have already registered on the platform and benefited from the courses, which are available in 4 languages. OceanTeacher Global Academy is a network of regional and specialized training centers that meets the needs of the all IOC member states. Through sharing knowledge, the OceanTeacher Global Academy contributes to the UN Sustainable Development Goals 4, 5, 9, 11, 13, and 14, ensuring that the highest quality training is delivered to people of all ages, genders, backgrounds, and geographies. Promoting knowledge and information, that support an informed community is key for achieving the ocean we need for the future we want.
You can pat. Ah, and now? Okay. Okay, so after that's our briefly presentation of OceanTeacher. So OceanTeacher Global Academy has been key on supporting the ocean community on delivering and facilitating these trainings. The Global Network, so it's a UNESCO-IOC program. It was born in UNESCO, but together with the community. So it's not, we say it was born by the community for the community. And it is a global network of regional and specialized training centers. But I have to highlight that over the years we have many affiliated partners. So when I say affiliated partners is that all the training program is being delivered not just by the training centers, but maybe twice or 3 times more by training programs, research institutes that are beyond that, and then merging with this network. And we are delivering training in ocean sciences, services, and management overall. It was born with the aim of targeting a specific training need, which was data management. So now we see around here a lot talking about AI and data tools and informatic transformation. But in the ocean, that was very far away for many years. But then, as the training has consolidated, we saw that now the umbrella is very big. So in OceanTeacher, there is training about ocean literacy, for instance, for the general public, and you also have more high-tech training being developed for specific targets or specific regions. So as it said in the video, we are general aim is to build equitable capacity. We do support member states, so we report to UNESCO-IOC member states, IOC programs also. So we one of the main goals is to support the programs on their capacity development needs, but the regions, and of course more recently the UN Decade. So we are there for the UN Decade community to deliver their trainings as facilitate. We have, by the last 10 years, we have been funded by extra budget from Flanders, so the government, the Flemish community, and that has been key because it's how the system has been now robust, and so this investment was very well received and it had a big impact on the program. So some numbers about OceanTeacher. I'm super happy to say that. So it's more than 20 years, actually it's almost 40 years of existence, 17 training centers. There's almost 14,000 learners, so you saw in the video as 8,000 users, but now we are at these numbers. We deliver an average of 50 courses per year. This year we have 60, and we already see like increasing. It's a slope of demand and interest. And 4 languages, which are the languages from the RTCs. Even we have Chinese. They don't deliver yet. They don't deliver trainings in Chinese, but why not? So those are the range of alumni and the range of benefits. So the community is very big. Who benefits from that? When we see the alumni, we are not really, sometimes we prepare a course for students, undergrad students, and then when we see who is enrolled, we see managers and we see practitioners, we see data managers, we see, so it's very broad. One thing that we have learned in the process, so when we want to deliver training, regardless of the topic, so if it's resilience or a different one, and prepare the community, we really need to have a very robust learning management system. So that's puts the quality of the trainings and the aims in a different level. So those are the list of services and products provided by OceanTeacher, which are freely and openly accessed. So currently, and we have agreed that we don't want these fees, so we still want to partner to make sure that we can mobilize resources to make those trainings free for who is coming. So of course it's okay to have a cost. There is a cost, it's not like, but as much as we can, because we know that knowledge is very centralized in places with a lot of resources. So, and we are accredited by ISO, so our trainings can be used for learning, formal learning and backgrounds in professional development. So more numbers, there is a big demand from the community and a lot in the coastal community to resolve practical problems. So most of the demand that we get is for courses for targeting solutions. 2023 and 2024, we received more than 2,000 applications, meaning that those are just covering the courses that do have application. It's not all of our courses that require applications. Many you can just enroll. And we have almost 4,000 enrolled participants in the course. So that's how we see that people are accessing and they're really interested and keen on upskilling. So we see as a big tool. We are happy to provide this. One need and gap that we have identified is that sharing knowledge is going to be key to transformation. So we really need to move beyond. So if we want more communities that are more resilient, that they can develop solutions fast, that they can act fast in process in crisis, we need to partner and we need to provide training on the updated solutions. We cannot keep just also training the way that we learned it. Maybe that is not working anymore. So we really have this vision now to make sure that what we are teaching, it's what is going to be the current and the new skills and everything that is consolidated. So there are things that have never changed in 40 years and they're going to keep like that. And others, they have evolved because cities are changing and education is changing and needs are changing. So that's why we have designed a new vision towards blue skills. So we are identifying the blue skills needed by the community. Of course, it's a big community, so when we see science. So there are courses delivered by Marine Spatial Planning, which is a big need from the member states, disaster risk management, ocean data management, biological, all the data management, ecosystem, there's a lot of interest, programming and cloud systems, co-design, also community, so make sure that the trainings have different knowledge systems. Remote sensing, eDNA, and things that are being developed and used by the community but are not accessed by under-resourced places. But when we created the vision, one thing that we highlighted was that partnership is going to be key. So we don't know, OceanTeacher has always been collaborative, so we need to leverage the existing initiatives, infrastructure, and expertise. So when I gave like 30 minutes around here this morning, we already identified training centers. So the private sectors have training centers. Those could be possibilities and used by the community to do something more practical. And so this partnership is important for us. It's how we are going to be able to have the community engaged on different blue skills that are needed. So blue skills as competencies, creative experiences, because the younger generations are keen to have that. Shared solutions, so we can also use training to do more collaborative work on ocean observation, sharing equipment, sharing vessels, and keep the core services. So in order for us to do all those different things, we need to make sure that we can still secure the learning management system. So this is something we take care very carefully on our procedures and standards as a training program. So talking about more on coastal resilience, and we are happy to have this partnership with the DCC. We see as a first kickoff, as you're saying, as a series of courses to prepare the communities to be more resilient and to adapt easily. So this new training is going to be soon released next year, and we were very happy that there was maybe a shift on the target community, that the target community is on business, so it's on people that are developing solutions and selling those solutions and are facing the problems on their daily business environments. And I think even the broader ocean community are going to be interested in accessing those afterwards, those materials in the future. So we see the background as a start, and also we are happy that we're going to have the cloud system implementing. So I think this is going to be a learning for OceanTeacher, is that when we can use the big supercomputing and those can be accessed to the community, we can provide and we can learn and do that in different courses. So how we can find training opportunities, everything that is dealing with risk assessment and solutions. So you can find in OceanTeacher here. But there are other courses that are related to adaptation, but they are tagged in different areas. So you can find, we also created a tag in coastal resilience, so we cannot put there because those are the SDGs, but the users are going to be able to find resilience and adaptations and tags, and we want to facilitate that when there is an interest. You can also, the trainings, not just by OceanTeacher, but by other communities, can be found in the website of IOC. So IOC Capacity Development has a portal for capacity development opportunities, including training, and they connect the different providers. And of course, in the Ocean Decade Network, I think this is probably now the main source of communication in the community, and how everyone that is interested in upskilling can find opportunities. And I am finished. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ana Carolina, for this insightful contribution. It is amazing the results of this partnership that ensures that no one's really left behind. Now we will have 10 minutes for questions. For those here in person, you can raise your hand. I have one there.
Thank you. It was so nice to learn about what you're doing, Ana Carolina. You talked about the Global South and areas where they don't have resources like internet access. How are you? What are your programming developments for these regions? I'm thinking in particular about like Ghana, for example, where fishing is a lifestyle and people actually move around the coast. They don't necessarily stay in one village. They follow the fish, you know? Thank you.
That's an amazing question. So we have been discussing solutions for that because we face problems with connection in internet now for the online courses. So we can still provide, and we are getting back to providing more face-to-face training, because those are also the knowledge systems that are more adapted to some of those communities. So the challenge now is to partner and raise resources for that, and also to get the community to make sure that also they can go and it's a good timing. But even for the online trainings, what we have what we have done, and we are going to try to do in some of the courses. For the online courses, we buy. So if they can go to a place, we can buy connection, and then they can access that from one computer or two computers. Our system is building Moodle. Moodle has some boxes that they call it's an offline box, and this can be deployed in different communities, and they have an amazing experience. We have never tried, but we saw, and this is like on our plan. Like, so for those places, we have those solutions available, but we need to implement that. So we don't know if it's really going to work and how it's going to work. In Mozambique, for instance, we are having a training now in it's ocean observation, but there's a lot in remote sensing. And we bought, so the aim was to buy internet connection. In the end, there was a problem with like some of the UNESCO things and so on, and they kind of said, no, it's okay, we're not going to buy, and we're going to try this way. And then this week, the coordinator sent us, she said, Mozambique is out of internet, so they are not being able to deliver. But what we do at this time, so we're like, okay, so what? She said, let's just wait, because it's going to recover. So then we exchanged, but the fact that we can communicate and centralize with the people, with everyone that is participating, we can also say, like, it's not an automated system. So we write them, this was the problem, we're going to extend, this is, and everyone gets embraced. So yeah, we have a big problem on connection and also digital literacy, because you have 2 steps registration in OceanTeacher. So we get a big demand on user support. And this has been very big the last year and not in the years before. So now we identified that we need hours of a person or one person just to supply on user support, because us as coordination, we cannot. Because, like, for instance, we stay 4 or 5 hours just answering emails of users, and it's not a problem. It's not a recurrent problem. We can solve some with solutions, but others we know it's people needing support. But yes, it's good to highlight this.
So thank you, Anna Carolina. You're doing such an amazing work. So we should all thank you. This program, I was at the very beginning in the 90s when it started, even before, I would say. And the platform is really a good addition, but the question is relevant. And I think that we need to restart. When I started to do this kind of program for UNESCO, we had only the personal, the inside, I mean the, in-person meetings. And so that was very difficult because you had to find, but we have to make the effort now with the UN Decade to get the different programs to coalesce around you and find the support to get the in-presence. Because, you have done the maximum that can be done, and we know also, we can try actually next year in the DCC-CR, trying these new methods that have, more on-site cost of internet. We can try. But the real thing is that for some of these issues, such as the fisheries for Ghana or so, we need to be on site. We need to be on site. And so we need to find a way to restart some of the so the in-person. And we have the Ocean Decade. We need to take that opportunity, I think. And during the in-person, we can have, real, I think we should set it up that it will become something that has practical exercise. A lot more than we were doing because we were doing like frontal teaching, also if we were in person. But the in-person should be practical, going at sea, measuring and seeing the habitats, measuring specific things, and then analyzing the data that are collected. So that is, I think we have to restart that way. And we are going to help you because this is a major important for development of oceanography in the future and the solutions for the coast, the coastal resilience. Yeah, thank you.
Nadia, I'm very happy that you highlighted this challenge and this need. We are totally aligned with your thoughts. So now, every time, so the two things that we identified is that it's not easier, but it's less challenging to find resources to do training on site through bottom-up, so through member states and in the region. Then if we want to mobilize big funding for the whole OceanTeacher. So we have been doing that. So we have now been talking with those training centers and then, okay, let's mobilize together and do for the face-to-face, which we know, and also to try to align with the blending. So what we don't want to do is to go to the field also, or to reunite a lot of people and everyone arrives there and have 2 days to first know what we're going to do here, because it really happened. Remember how many times, and even here, I was preparing the presentation before I came. That's not how we should do training. So this is the message that we are doing, and we are trying to prepare as much as possible blended. Even if there is going to be challenges in accessibility that we can supply, but people know, and then we can focus on practical components when we are there, and then we are also, every training that we support, co-finance as a program, we prioritize the ones that have practical. So we don't take people anymore to classes, in front of computers, if they could be doing that before. So of course they can have a lecturer, a mentor there, but they have to do the big part that could be done online maybe. So yes, there is a big need, and also translating in, we identified as translation to different knowledge systems. So even, and this is from traditional communities to very technical communities. So our trainings should have all these umbrellas, and we are not there yet. We know that. So for the traditional communities, there is being currently developing a training with the Ocean Decade. So we are co-funding this training with the DCU. Hopefully we're also going to have in person after the online part is developed, but also for the industry. So we are trying to partner with IMO and other more offshore intergovernmental agencies, and then try to align with the offshore. So this is going to be a first test also in this. But yeah, you're perfectly right. We need to go back to blended, like training online and then on site. And if we could do everything on site, but we also know the experts are still limited. So if we want to do everything on site, it's not going to happen. We don't have enough experts for that.
Okay, thank you very much for these interesting questions and insights regarding leveraging education and capacity development. We really appreciate it. Now we will move on to the next part of our program. This is a keynote by Samantha Siedlecki, titled "The State of the Resilient Coast from Global Coast Experiment." So let me introduce you. As an oceanographer, Dr. Siedlecki focuses on coastal regions where she implements numerical simulations to investigate and identify processes within that environment. She's responsible for the biogeochemical dynamics in both modern and future oceans. She received her PhD from the University of Chicago, where she focused on theoretical ocean systems. Now, as an associate professor at the University of Connecticut, she explores regional climate projections of ocean conditions on both U.S. coasts. She and her partner group with social scientists bring these tools into decision-making frameworks for coastal communities. As a Fulbright Global Scholar, she's a visiting professor at the University of Bologna, now is working with the UN Decade program Coastal Credit. Thank you very much. Samantha, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me now? Oh, good. There it is. Great. Thank you so much for having me here today and coming to hear about some of the work I've been doing at University of Bologna with Coast Predict and with another UN Decade program called OARS, which I'll talk about, which is about ocean acidification. And so I'm going to talk about some capacity development that we've been doing within those programs and why there's a need for it from a recent survey that Coast Predict sent around. So just to start, kind of what is ocean acidification, as I'm going to talk about this later. So ocean acidification is when carbon dioxide from the air is added to seawater and it changes the chemistry, reducing the pH and other carbonate levels in the ocean. And this happens in a predictable manner. So we understand the chemistry and we can predict what happens when we increase CO2 to water chemistry. There's a lot of changes going on that have been well documented globally, but at the coast, we suspect from research that the global trends may not accurately represent what's happening in coastal regions. Certain regions have different processes going on locally that are modifying these global trends. In some cases, they're accelerating them, and in some cases, they're reducing them. And so one example of that is an accelerated trend in the state of Washington, where in Washington State, the U.S., in Seattle, in 2006, the oysters were dying in the hatcheries, and we were trying to understand why the industry went to scientists, and they worked together to figure out that the ocean acidification was, in fact, causing an energetic barrier for the oyster larvae to produce their shells, which they needed to survive. So in response to that, the state of Washington put resources together to develop tools to build resilience for this industry, which included an ocean forecast system, which I helped develop, which relied on a coastal model and simulated the region that you're seeing here. And so you can see on this image, which is a map showing you Washington State. This is the Columbia River. Seattle is in here. This is now Canada and British Columbia coast. And what you're looking at is an image that depicts the salinity of the water, so how fresh or salty it is. And that bluer is fresher water. So you can see this interaction here in very high resolution between the rivers and the water and the offshore ocean water. And if we zoom in, we can get to ocean acidification variables even within these estuaries where the hatcheries reside and provide forecasts. This is all available on the web, the visualizations and real-time comparisons with observations. So here I'm showing you an example of a long-term simulation where we have compared sea surface temperature with observations that are located off the coast, and these are available via like a comparator all the time in real time in this setting. And again, this was all developed in response to an industry need, and this capacity exists and could be deployed more broadly for multiple hazards internationally. And so the idea would be that you would have observations out there and real-time assets that are monitoring what's going on in the ocean, and then you could get warnings if you were interested, if the oxygen in your area that you're interested in is very low, for example, or if the ocean acidification variables reach some threshold, or if it's too warm, the wave heights get too high, then you get an email alert saying that this is going on. at some point the observations end and you move into needing prognostic information moving forward. And these, a nested system of ocean forecasts where you have near like weather scale kind of forecasts, longer term, seasonal to decadal. These tools exist and can be deployed worldwide. And there's lots of examples within the US of these kinds of systems within coastal settings. So what's kind of needed to build these regional forecast systems, especially to support, I focus on marine resource report sources, so that's what I'm showing you here. These observational network, which exists to varying degree in different places. Working historical simulations, so you've been able to show that you can simulate the region in the past, that there is some predictability in the future on the timescale you're interested in some of the important drivers and physical variables, that the end user stakeholder group has been identified and you understand what the needs are, these questions. So in this oyster example, we knew that they needed to know a particular location and this energetic threshold when that was going to happen. So understanding and conveying uncertainty is important. And of course, this is iterative, so this kind of continued testing that goes on all the time, improving and changing and altering the setup. So Coast Predict is a UN decade program that has been creating this community of practice because these kinds of tools have been developed in different countries, not really together. There hasn't been a group that there's very few examples of groups that have been talking across the boundaries of continents and much less countries, right? And sort of developing this. And so one example of this is this Global Coast experiment where it's where the Global Coast is trying to create co-create this globally replicable solution, standards, applications for coastal resilience. And you can find out more about this at this QR code on the website. But one of the things that they did was they collected in this community of practice this group of practitioners, right, and surveyed them about what their capacity was for these kinds of tools internationally. And so here we're trying to build coastal resilience, and so here's the definition, right, that coastal resilience is this capacity of a system, community, or society to resist or change so that they may be able to obtain an acceptable level of functioning and structure. And this applies, this definition, to multiple hazards, whether it be storm surge or fish, right? But it requires knowledge and tools to kind of empower the communities with the choice that they face kind of moving forward. And so Global Coast Network then is now available on the Coast Predict website. You can check it out. These are the current regions. There's over 130 pilot sites and 60 countries and 225 partner institutions that have been brought together into this community of practice, right? And so this survey results were just recently collected, and so part of the work that I'm doing here at University of Bologna is trying to work with the team of DCC-CR and Coast Predict to kind of understand what all these stories are telling us, because there's a lot of information in here. So I'll just show you a couple of highlights that we've just recently figured out. One is that the coastal ocean, we knew they faced many hazards, but what did this survey that was sent out to these pilot sites, tell us? It turns out that there's many different impact areas that this group is currently addressing, and those include disaster risk reduction, but lots of interest in the impact of climate change on the coast, right? There's seafood, there's marine resources, as well as lots of aspects of resilience here, right? That the pilot sites are interested in. Who's using this information? So they also were asked, who are you delivering this information to? And so this is from that global picture. The DCC-CR team, including Ariba and Myred, were key to putting together this image, showing us that that there's different users at different timescales. So let me walk you through. So here we're looking at timescales that are shorter, like on the timescale of weather in blue, and the more climate longer timescales are here in green. And then maybe users that would reside in both, that would want short-term and long-term information, are in pink. you notice how large there is a lot of people that are interested in longer-term climate scale information at the coast. And then if we kind of further separate that information into those that are collecting and, observations and producing the forecasts, those are the kind of ones that are inside. But then the end users that are actually only using and not co-producing that information, those are pulled out. And you can see that there are a lot of those that reside within we call those downstream users. Those downstream users there's a lot of them in that climate timescale. And so that's particularly interesting to learn from that as well. So what's our capacity on that longer term time scale then, that climate scale? There's only 25% of the pilot sites so far in our initial assessment of the survey have this kind of capacity for climate prediction at this local scale that's needed, that's wanted. And so what can we do about that? Well, there's we've already heard lots of good things about ocean capacity, the capacity development and building capacity. I'll just point you also to a new one that I became aware of, which is a whole special volume dedicated in the Journal of Oceanography to capacity building in ocean sciences that has lots of good stuff in there. I'll highlight a couple. One of them was contributed from the ocean acidification community. A couple of them were. One paper talks about the global network, which again created this community of practice, and is called GOON, the Global Ocean Acidification Observing Network. There's a website and a portal, and they've been really committed to the democratization of data, as they call it, which has also been referred to in prior talks, making it available, showing where observations are being made, and then also helping to share standards of how to make them. And this is very much so. This network has been around for a long time. You can see the development here that now the network is at near 1,000 members from over 100 countries, and it's grown a lot over the past 10 years. And you can learn more about this in Jan Newton's paper in this volume. So capacity building is really key to address one of these targets, this SDG 14.3. Which is particular for ocean acidification, and it's really around minimizing and addressing the impacts of ocean acidification. And in order to do this, as has been previously stated, we really need to increase our capacity at all levels. So I participated last year in my first summer school experience, which really was transformative and wonderful in terms of learning about how to build capacity in terms of these things. We had, it was in Chile, and there were 33 students from 14 different countries. It was organized by Vero Garzón and Veronique Garzón and Kirsten Asance, pictured there. And our objective, which we had an objective, was to teach skills and knowledge of many disciplines needed to understand the ocean and the atmosphere, processes involved in ocean deoxygenation, the global decline of oxygen concentrations, and acidification. And the focus was on these eastern boundary upwelling systems, which is where we were. So that's the kind of oceanography that was present in in Chile where we were at. It was sponsored by all these different agencies. There were 17 different lecturers from 14 different institutions, which I was pleased to be a part of. And there's some pictures of the different lectures that happened. The lecture topics varied from lots of different issues. We covered super intense, nitty-gritty science topics about biology of ocean acidification, and prediction and modeling, which I was happy to contribute, data management, the actual, going out and making observations and the standards around ocean acidification and deoxygenation. And there was conversations about science communication, lectures, and about ethics as well. And in addition to the lectures, we also offered experiential practicals, this experiential education where went out on the ships and measured, took the lectures and made them in practice. There was also, in addition to the shipboard practicals, they experienced a computer-based one was modeling, which included actual, running on a high-performance computing that was local to the university. And lab-based experiments where they were actually stressing out baby crabs, right, and really doing some physiological understanding how you achieve those physical limitations and thresholds that are needed to understand how marine resources are affected. We also worked with industry, so we visited an aquaculture facility for sea scallops to sort of understand how industry was responding to change in the region. This is super interesting. These are nets of how they're growing the sea scallops in the water column because the oxygen is anoxic so low and the OA is so intense near the bottom where the scallops should be living that the community has started raising them up in the water column and growing them hanging in these nets in order to combat and you know that's their resilience strategy. So we went on these little boats and visited, and people ate some raw ones out of the ocean there as well, in part. And then afterwards, we had a meeting with local stakeholders in Tongoy Bay, the fishermen, the aquaculture, the people policymakers, and the students were able to sort of understand how this transdisciplinary science also participated in it in real time. So OAICC, which is part of UNESCO, is involved in doing lots of trainings for around ocean acidification at various levels, some of which I imagine overlaps with our previous speakers in terms of what was offered. But in any case, there's some basic training, advanced training, all the way to this kind of these coordinated joint experiments that I just referred to that's described in this special issue that Sam DuPont led, this paper. And only a very small amount of ocean acidification studies historically had been described in the Atlantic Ocean from the global south, for example. And so only about 14%. And they found that after going and targeting the training for increased members from the global south over many years, and then surveying them, so before and after, that there was an increased percent of people publishing in this area. So in particular, after 31 trainings, over 500 participants, where 91% of the trainees were from the global south, they submitted some self-evaluations 2 years after the trainings to sort of understand what the effect of those were. And they found that there was an increase in ocean acidification work post the course and increased the number of participants that published on ocean acidification as well as good metrics of tracking the success of these kinds of in-person trainings. So kind of in conclusion, these coastal communities have needs now on this longer climate timescales, but they lack the sufficient tools and knowledge to address those in some areas. Coastal models have a lot of capacity to help, but there aren't enough of us practitioners around in order to do this. These kind of networks, these global ones that are developing through the UN decade, are building these communities of practice, which are really vital to sharing this knowledge. And the democratization of these tools and data that's needed to build the resilience against many hazards the coastal communities face. We have to do this. And this act kind of requires trainings in summer schools offers us a way forward, as has been previously discussed. This summer school, a capacity building program like that, should be goal-oriented and evaluated according to appropriate user indicators of success. And if you do one beforehand, like Sam DuPont's paper showed, and prioritize resources, ensure the training is adapted to local needs, and then also consider this kind of long-term strategy of following up with the participants in order to show that how that transfer of knowledge is successful, so that we can learn about how to do this better as well, right? To teach about the coastal resilience. And then an ocean forecasting summer school focused on that in particular is sorely needed for sure, something that we're talking about. So with that, thank you, and you can find out more information about the decade programs I talked about by going to these QR codes here, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you very much, Samantha, for such a valuable and thoughtful presentation. We now...
So Samantha, very nice, as usual, very inspiring. So how do we go? First of all, I think that the summer school is a very important concept. Summer schools make communities. And so I'd like you to comment more maybe, because we need that's part of the in-presence to make it worth more. That's one. And the other one is the climate. Okay, so the climate coastal resilience school. How do we shape it? What are the elements that we need to have in order for the in-presence and or the hybrid will work? Thank you.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I think part of it is bringing together multiple disciplines, because it's not just one field anymore. We're talking about the climate, so you need people who do climate dynamics and teach about sort of the basics of climate change, and then you need the people at the coast that are working on bringing those signals in and how to determine locally what processes are important. So that may be also people who make observations, right, that are in there. And then, bringing it, then there's the translation of it to a point that user would end up using, right? And the conveying uncertainty. So there's like, I don't know, at least half a dozen different disciplines there, right? In terms of it, these ones that I've been a part of have been very transdisciplinary and have been a week to 10 days or so in length. I think we might be challenged to do it in that amount of time, especially the first time around, but something along those lines is kind of the basics. But I really liked the idea put forth before of having some kind of tools sent that the participants could do kind of beforehand. I learned that from your presentation. I thought that was a great idea, to have them kind of do something online first before coming, so that they could focus on the practicals when they were in person, and that kind of and gain from that practical experience with the experts that were there. So, yeah.
Thank you. I was amazed with the data that you showed. I told you recently in the Ocean Acidification Capacity Development meeting, but some of them I have never seen, and I was so impressed with the intercalibration. So I would love to hear more on how was this experience. We have, as UNESCO, done intercalibration trainings through OceanTeacher for harmful algae, but not in ocean acidification, so we really would like. So how was that? That's my question. What was good and bad, or advantages and disadvantages? And also on, if you could share also insights about following the community after the summer school, so, and also the trainings. I think this is something we don't do in OceanTeacher, but we would like to learn more about it.
So following the success of, the students afterwards is also part of the professional development network, right? That comes, that Nadia was talking about, from having the summer school. A lot of the students that are here are interested in doing this for their career, becoming, scientists, practicing scientists, and wherever they end up. And so there's like a professional network that goes with that makes it maybe a little bit more easier than the situation that you presented, to keep in touch, because everyone's motivated to sort of, right, to keep in touch for the professional network that comes from it, to follow on. But that also means that there is, that network is established that you can kind of go back to and like reevaluate with, right? I think that the actual trainings in and of themselves, were designed by the experts themselves. So I was involved in the modeling one, not in terms of the ocean chemistry side. Martin Hernandez from Mexico was doing the training on the chemistry side, like for the intercalibration, and he gave a lecture, and then there was a practical where they went out on the boat and took samples, and they pickled them, as they call it, which is to fix the carbon, so kill off the organisms, so that they can measure the carbon and the biology doesn't continue to change it. And then they came back to the lab and did those measurements. And there has been a well-established protocol that has been, I think even the training you guys have on how to do some of those things. But I'm not sure how accessible that is. So I think that's a conversation that we should have. Yeah.
Another reflection, and so I think many years ago we started to have the preliminary to the course in OTGA, the preliminary to the course done virtual, I mean before, some exercise and so on. Now we are trying an extensive virtual before the inside with our course in DCC. So we're gone to the opposite.
Yeah.
So we do a lot more virtual, and then we meet for a specific discussion.
That's nice.
But then and so I think we could use in the next phase also the fact that you could get the needs from the practitioners, from the communities beforehand. So not only get starting the training, but use the pre-course to get some interesting discussion with the practitioners' communities. So if we do, that part I don't think has been done.
Yeah.
And it requires organization, because it requires the local people to get in contact with their communities and then get them for some hours around in different times around Zoom, which should be available to discuss. But I think it will be very interesting to get immediately the students in contact with their practicing
Yes.
community.
Agreed. So it's very energizing for the students to be able to, engage with how this information could be usable by a local community, for sure. And I think that would be a really good idea.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a science question for you.
Sure.
Did you guys do any work with milk of magnesium with acidification and any impact? No.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Samantha. Now we will move to our third and final keynote speech for this morning. The title is UNIBO Educational Program in Environmental Sciences and Coastal Management by Professor Elena Fabbri. Professor Elena Fabbri is a full professor in physiology at the University of Bologna. She currently serves as director of the Department of Biological, Geological, and Environmental Sciences. From 2017 to 2022, she was coordinator of the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degree WACOMA Water and Coastal Management Program. Her research addresses the impact of contaminants on cellular functions and marine species. Professor Elena, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you also. I'm involved in this program, and then it's a pleasure to work with Nadia and the team, bigger and bigger, that is being built. So I will be very basic. I mean, start with simple words with respect to maybe the science that were presented, because of course, I'm a university professor, so I feel the university the need for education. And then we encounter some like resistance, like saying a degree will not offer me more job opportunities, or my family cannot afford to pay the university fee, or others. So there are needs, but also many stereotypes. And then all these proposals that we have heard so far may actually help, and I will explain what I mean. And then again, some, for example, like girls around the world saying, I'm not able to follow scientific courses, or I don't like mathematics and physics, or I want to remain in my country and I'm not eager to learn foreign languages. These are some stereotypes that actually go around and convince youngs that the university path is not worth. But then I would underline that education is important per se at all levels and age, and then we must trust in this and follow these the number 4, but even others of course, like to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. And then this is very important for moral reasons, for the knowledge we learn, for social, for the impetus to development and innovation, for professional to have access to more successful career. We can work even without such a university education, but actually it opens more successful career, this for sure. But also we are, and this is of course particularly linked on our topic today, to understand what is happening around us and get prepared to new challenges. And then education is important as a tool for resilience and empowers community to take proactive measures and help strengthen the resilience. I underline here of children, but also everyone, to coastal hazards and risks, etc. And then there is, of course, a big contribution of capacity enhancement to build resilience and awareness, improving skills, resources, etc. And again, education is then important since the beginning of our school age. And then in this topic to integrate, would be nice to integrate coastal resilience topics into school curricula, especially when the countries, the place, the regions is particularly sensitive to issues on the coast, and then engage students in hands-on projects so they can be more and more involved. And then, of course, collaboration with important partners to build a big partnership, as we have seen before in the slides presented by the speakers before me. So we have in mind that youngs may be stimulated by senior teachers and scientists to look beyond single discipline. And then from the start of their career, we all can think about our own education, and for sure what we learned at school has a big impact on us. The formation, the ideas, what we learn at school drove us in some direction. So it's very important. And there are challenging in achieving this objective. We saw it before, like training resource, but we should ensure that training resources are accessible to different communities, and we are also able to translate complex concept into some understandable content. And the aim of to preserve coastal environments is, of course, a process that need for a well-trained marine and coastal science workforce. So what we, in Italy, I analyzed some programs, some educational programs at the university level, and we see that there are several universities engaged in these programs, focusing different topic, maybe economics or fisheries or etc. And I want to attract your attention on the University of Bologna, and in particular the campus of Ravenna of the University of Bologna, where I teach, Nadia also teach, and others. And here we have the campus of Ravenna. We have a university part focusing on environment and focusing on the coastal and ocean teams. And then in environmental sciences, we provide the basis at the bachelor, and then marine biology, of course, providing expertise in marine environment biology, so organisms living there. Then we have also a course in offshore engineering and for energy transition, of course, quite important now to exploit eventually the non-living resources, wind, ocean, and other technologies. And then we have this course, this program, Water and Coastal Management, that is a 2-year master degree program. So in Italy it would be the laurea magistrale, and was held at the campus of Ravenna in English to give an international perspectives and full immersion in a multilingual environment. And on the left, you see a number of countries represented here in this course, in 3 years that I calculated. So you see many countries represented, one person, more person, but I noticed like Syria or like other countries with big problems inside. But then still the students were able to come and study at our university, because behind this is an Erasmus Mundus project, and then behind this there were grants for these students, and then assistance, and then all needed to have these students coming. Actually, the Water and Coastal Management capitalized on the experience of this Erasmus Mundus. Those are 63 students that you have seen listed were the ones who came in the last 3 years of this Erasmus Mundus program. And we capitalized on the experience of the Erasmus Mundus, which was a partnership between 3 universities. So Bologna, Algarve in Portugal, and Cadiz in Spain. And this program ended so as a project of the European, funded by the European Commission. And since 2022, we decided to continue the experience as University of Bologna. So this was an important step, because, you know, we passed from a program which was funded and which was recognized everywhere as a EU program, but then was inserted in the plans of the University of Bologna. So we may have success or not, but we thought that was extremely important to go further. And then realizing that actually the WACOMA keywords are at the center of political, financial, and social agenda, like the words you mentioned in your speeches before, so coastal erosion, water pollution, biodiversity loss, etc. And then the consistent with the precepts of management science, WACOMA also concern mitigation and adaptation to changes and deals with the relevant aspects of sustainable economy. Then the need analysis which prompted us to open and to maintain this course is that the global issues result in increasing trend in labor market demand for experts in coastal risk management and experts in coastal management for sustainability. But this professional background this professional profile need a strong background in interdisciplinary, of course, but data modeling, mapping, and decision analysis, environmental quality, etc. So we wanted, we imagined we wanted to build these professional profiles, and I will go back on this later. So our study plan at the moment is the following. You see several, is a master degree, so it's 2 years, 120 credits. And then you see here the topics that are taught to the students. And then the elective course, student choice, are the following here. We have some specialists coming from for example, the Port Authority in Ravenna, or other expert of algae, or other expertise, strong expertise, and the students' achievement are listed here, like to build skill in wetland restoration, protection of the dune system, integrated coastal zone. We had a strong practical activity, and we taught also the use of advanced technologies. I mentioned remote sensing or others, and we want the students gain the ability to develop balancing actions between economic. This is. I stop for a second. we are here. Yeah, good timing. We are here. So, and then the balancing, some actions between growth, health, and management. And of course, the idea is that WACOMA allows to become an expert in the analysis and management of marine and coastal environment, to gain advanced knowledge on this issue, to gain skills in proposing and comparing solutions, and students gain a multidisciplinary background, but at the end, they are guided by expert teachers. This is very important in any degree course, because when maybe universities on the wave of important issues try to open degree courses but do not have the right support of experts, then is a waste of time, and then more or less the success is disappear in a couple of years. So this is why this course has been open as a Erasmus Mundus, but then it continues as a Bologna course, because we have experts in these contents, this issue, these arguments, and then we feel that we are really able to transfer to the students knowledge, and is very important was what I have heard before. So not transfer the knowledge we got in our past, but be able, having an activity of research maybe, to transfer the new things, to be innovative, and to contribute then to the future, not only to the present. So then there are a series of opportunities that we believe are given to these students, and of course also the involvement in international projects that allow them to work directly on specific and real issues around the world. Many of the theses were produced by the students, were done by the students. Wakoma, Erasmus Mundus, and Wakoma now, they are theses eventually on topics of direct interest of the students from foreign countries, and they develop under the guide of our professors, maybe studies in studies thesis we have done in Ethiopia, in Kenya, or something. So Peru, yes, and then what my conclusion. I want to add something to what I have heard before, that these students for us, so I was the coordinator of this course. What I felt is to be able to involve students who would never come to Europe or never come to the university, maybe because they didn't have the possibility, but not only for money, but only for the conditions of their country. I think about the Syrians, for example. They were, it was to me, I don't know, something very big, very, very important. And now I know that they work around the world with success in their work, but not only the Syrians, but also others. So in some cases, they went back to their countries and they are now ambassadors. And this, I think, is also an idea to have someone in some countries. We had, for example, students from Ghana, and I know that they act as ambassadors. So the important is to transfer excellent knowledge, and by an excellent professor possibly, and eventually support these graduate students at that point to go back and be ambassadors. So that's our experience, and I hope Wakoma can continue with success. Thank you. Actually, there is someone here who was a student, a Wakoma student, and at the time of the Erasmus Mundus, and now he does very well involved in this project, the DCC-CR.
Thank you very much, Professor Fabbri. Yes, I am proud to have witnessed in firsthand the success of this program, and I also had the honor and the opportunity to be part of this, and here I am today. Thank you very much for your presentation. Now I leave the floor for some questions.
Yeah. Okay, now it is. Are we monopolizing the questions is what I said. So I have two questions. The first is how you see the possibility of opening one of those classes, postgrad classes, for global access. So I'm saying that because this year we had a professor from Brazil that is now still delivering a course in microplastics. It's a discipline, and he has done that before many times as open. He allowed special students to be enrolled and so on. And we had a large interest from the community. So we had 600 people enrolled in this course. There were a lot of challenges. So I would see, my question is, do you think there would be space to try out in one of the disciplines, the more theoretical, to be delivered online? And the second is your experience with the interns. If you have, if in these programs, postgrad programs, do you have internships also from different researchers or masters? And if you do, how does it go? Because it's also an interest of UNESCO. One of the targets is to support training internships for professionals. So it's after graduation. So from like not undergrads, it's the masters or so on. And
so we do have, start for the second, we do have internship either in the region, or some students actually want to go abroad and to so we are open to this, and it depends. Sometimes they go with the Erasmus plus, so they are supported in that way. In some other, we have not much, but we have some money to support thesis abroad. So they may go for the internship and then on that build the thesis. Well, I think that the request would be higher than the money we have available. Money because there is decided maybe at the beginning of the year, like 4 theses abroad or something like that. Maybe the request would be even more. But certainly, if with more or less money, but is supported by the UNESCO or by the DCC, certainly more laboratory may be available. So it would be something of value, of great value. So we can think of it.
So can I ask you a question with respect to this? I mean, the only problem that I see here is the internship involves support. I mean, if you want to open it to the world, while the opening the courses would only involve for us to discuss with the university for the tuition fees for a single course, which is not much.
No, yeah. But as far as I didn't understand well, I thought the internship, so the students go somewhere else to the internship. It's not that students come to us. Because if they come to us, then it's a matter of numbers. I don't know if we can accept so many.
Yeah, so we had this year, we started internship program within IOC. So we didn't open globally. It was a pilot out also because we wanted to see, because it really requires support from our office in terms of guidelines, logistics, and we did not have this experience before, but the educational institutions does. Yeah. So we did that for a short term, and we are learning now if it works, how it works, and so on. So that was my question. Sorry, I was not so clear, but if you have these, do you think this would be a good opportunity for short-term international internships? So either University of Bologna would receive or would send someone also to one of IOCs, and then of course there might be tuition fees or not. And in our case, we were funding all the travel grants. None of the institutions asked for tuition fees, but maybe it's because this is something we have to.
It was the other question. This is an answer to the other question. So for the internship, students normally go even in foreign countries to do the internship, and they would love to come. They would really like to come in organizations like UNESCO or others. This for sure. For accepting internship, we would do the same, because if our students go to other universities or places, then we can host them. The thing is that we are not very big, so it depends on the numbers. Then for the courses instead, I've never had this thought, but for example, now in one course I have, there are 2 students coming from abroad. They asked specifically to follow my course. They are not enrolled at the university. For some reason, they are in Bologna, and they asked to go to be present in my course. And then they pay a fee. Yeah, it's basically an insurance to be able to enter our buildings. So in this case, you speak of instead of courses online. So maybe staying online. I don't know. In this case. Yes. No. We can for sure, or we will work for it. So that's for sure. I don't know if there is a fee. And then this is for some courses we are you and myself, we are dealing with the importance of for everyone. So not only for people really registered at the university. So I think it's a good idea, and we will work on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we have in Bologna, fortunately, we have developed a very good online system, which was done for the COVID. And we were almost prepared for that. For some reason, one of the magic reasons sometimes happen. Oh, we are prepared. So we have a very good online system. So we could think that if we want to have online courses offered by University of Bologna, we can actually have them selected. The people can be selectively allowed to follow them. Again, there will be a fee, because for sure that's part of the university, management. So we cannot avoid. First, we can find funding for that. Second, it is limited. And the third, most of the universities also in US and other countries have this selective virtual environment like you have. It's like a Moody or some, but it's, all done already. It doesn't need on our side much organization. It needs an agreement with UNESCO, and then that can be, most of the courses of WACOMA now are really important for coastal resilience. And if people can access them without moving, this is one. Then the other part is to get the internship. Okay, so, but as I feel like I'd like to have your opinion, Elena, but I feel like it's much easier for us to have an agreement with UNESCO and allowing virtual courses to such specialized courses for specific interest than the internship that requires travel, lodging, and visas, and so requires some organization.
For the internship, I thought mainly, I got the question as to our students going somewhere. And then this, was both directions. So one may be more problematic because we'll see. So accepting many students. And then for the online lessons, I think we can ask the university how to make an agreement on this. There are several courses maybe selected within WACOMA. There are others absolutely. I think it's an honor for us. We just have to understand how the university would manage this.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any more questions? Okay, otherwise, I would like to thank you all and thank you, our speakers, for these insightful and thoughtful presentations we had in the morning. Our DCC program will resume after 3 p.m. with a keynote by Professor Julia Galuccio in Advanced Training on the CMCC. Thank you very much. Are we doing the slide?